Hey, how are you? I'm Dave. Welcome to my channel, My Yard Sale. Hey, today I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that have changed in my health and hopefully what I think is positive, positive things that are happening in the hopefully near future. Now, I had watched a video and I mentioned this in a previous video that I posted. I'd watched in another video that when diabetic nerves reverse and return, it's oftentimes more difficult at the very end, right before it's much better. And oh man, I hope that's where I am because where I'm at now is very difficult. I still have neuropathy in my hands. I've had neuropathy in my hands for a very long time, probably the better part of a year and a half, 2 years. Now it still feels like neuropathy, but it doesn't feel the same. It feels different. Now it's like not necessarily just the tactile, numbness and tingling in my fingers. It's more like the strength in my hands and my bones or my hands, my knuckles are all popping and cracking. And I had mentioned this in a previous post that I had had cracking in my bones and through my body. Now it's definitely progressed from other parts of my body all the way to my fingers, and it's extremely uncomfortable. Not painful, but very uncomfortable. It's like there's a tension in every joint in my hand that makes everything from doing a button to a zipper to a light switch not impossible, but difficult. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare specialist. I have no clue exactly what it is that I'm even talking about. Actually, part of the reasons why I started posting these posts was so that hopefully other people would have input and feedback that may actually help me get through this reversal of metabolic issues. I was having this cracking noise in all my bones all the way from my shoulders all the way down to my hands. Now it feels like it's not in my shoulders. My shoulders are it's gone. And my elbows, I still get a little bit of tension, but not quite as much as I used to. Now it's all in my hands. And I can make my hands like snap over and over again. I'm finally starting to get some strength back in my fist, in my clench. I can finally get some strength in it. I can feel the tension in my forearm, right in here. I can feel the tension. And then this last couple of days, I've had a hard time even putting my arms over my head and stretching my hands straight up into the air because I feel like there's tension in my shoulders that's not, again, it's not painful. It's just kind of uncomfortable. And of course, the more I do it, the easier it gets. So I'm hoping that I'm getting towards the end of this whole cycle of whatever this is that I'm going through. Again, I think that this is all the regrowth of nerves after being insulin sensitive for so long and probably having the nerves just dwindle down to nothing. I feel like what I'm experiencing now is the nerves regrowing from my central nervous system, from my spine, you know, from my brain all the way to my spine, and then all the nerves throughout regrowing. It's really strange. I get like weird, tingly, itchy feelings on my forearms, and even right now, I'm getting like a weird, itchy feeling here. It's not bugs or mosquitoes or anything weird like that. It's just weird, itchy spots on my skin. And I had read that that can be caused by nerves regrowing and resupplying that area with nerve function, I guess. So I'm hoping that I'm going through some kind of next stage that makes sense, that in the next week I'll get rid of this like weird tension feeling in my hands, and I'll get the strength back in my hands, and I'll start having some good news instead of just talking about what I'm going through. Now, what's really interesting about this particular cycle is this is definitely not a physical cycle. Like I was having a hard time for a while even standing up and walking away from the chair I'm sitting in, standing up and walking to the other end of my house to go to the kitchen, standing up and going to the bathroom. Like sitting down on the toilet wasn't impossible, but it could be a challenge. When you can't feel your hands or your fingers well, like all that stuff becomes extremely difficult. So it's weird because I'm not having those types of issues now. Now it's very much like I feel like I have to stretch and try to I don't know, it's not even stretching, it's feeling like using the joints that I haven't really used in quite some time, having to stretch those out and use them again does feel good. It's definitely not painful, but it feels like I have to do it. Otherwise, the joint just doesn't work right. Like it's quite possible I could pick something up and not even and even try to, move my arm like that, and my hand doesn't work right. I could drop what I'm holding. I actually did that with a glass of water about, I don't know, a month ago. I had a glass of water. I was walking from one end of my room to the other. I went to turn around to try to sit down, and my hand just went whoosh, and just opened up, and I dropped the water right on the ground. I don't know exactly how that happened or what happened there, but it was very strange. So at this point, I'm 99% sure. I say 99 because, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare specialist. I don't have the tests. But I'm very sure that I'm not diabetic or pre diabetic. I'm very sure that my insulin sensitivity is starting to come back. And I can tell that because I'm actually able to start gaining weight again. I'm slowly starting to tick up gaining weight again, which I know that doesn't sound exciting, but I was so light I looked like a ghost. I weighed nothing. I was all just like one layer of skin and bones. Maybe a little tiny bit of muscle, just enough to get me from here to the bathroom and back, or here to the kitchen and back. But so I'm starting to gain some weight back. So I know that I'm getting some insulin sensitivity back, or I know I'm not insulin insensitive. That's good news. And I thought for a long time that what I was feeling in my body was my muscle starting to grow back, which it probably could be, and it probably is. But I'm feeling like what I was feeling in the larger muscle groups in my body, I don't think that that was actually the muscle growing back. I think that what I was feeling is the actual nerves growing back that are feeding those muscle groups. So I am getting muscle back, but I don't feel like it's the actual muscle. I think that if it was muscle, I'd be gaining weight much faster. I feel like it's the actual nerves that are supplying those muscle groups that's actually coming back. So, and I know this is kind of a random post, but I feel like this is a strange and questionable point in this reversal process of metabolic issues. And I haven't seen anybody talking about this at all, so I wanted to talk about it because there's no rhyme or reason to what this is. So I do feel like I've got my insulin sensitivity back. I'm insulin sensitive. I'm less insulin insensitive. I probably still am insensitive at some level. But I do feel like I'm starting to put some weight on, which would reflect the fact that I have some insulin sensitivity back. And I'm having all these like weird feelings in my body that aren't explainable really. And I think that this is the nerves. I can feel definitely a tension in my spine, like above my tailbone and below the middle of my back. I can feel like it feels like it's just like there's tension. And it's not because I'm working out. It's not because I'm doing anything specifically stressful. I very rarely even walk very far. And sometimes I'll walk and sit outside for a minute, but I have to be very careful. I don't want to push myself and end up on the ground somewhere that I can't get up. Anyways, I'm feeling this weird tension in my spine that is pretty unexplainable because it'd be different if I worked it out. But I feel like it's just general sitting up in bed and sitting up, in this chair, or standing up and walking around. That's enough tension in my spine. That's enough exercise in my spine to cause some kind of tension. that I don't completely understand. I am still feeling some of that weird sensation in the larger muscle groups in my body, mostly in my thighs and somewhat in my calves, and I have to stretch those out like as much as I possibly can to relieve that discomfort, that tension. The new part is my shoulders. I feel like my shoulders like are feeling so much tension. It's like hard to explain. And the more that I stretch them out, the more I can feel my hands actually. The neuropathy in my hands feels like it's resolving a little bit, not completely, but a little bit. Like I'm not really able to fully functionally use my fingers yet, but I feel like it's starting to get a little bit better. Anyways, so this post is about getting nerves back that I've clearly lost and what it feels like and kind of how it manifests in my body, how it feels. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is interesting. If you think this is interesting and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I'm going to continue to document my process, my progress. Hopefully to help some other people work through this whole situation. And yeah, so please subscribe and please like this. And I hope you have a great day. Happy Sunday. Today's Sunday. Of course, it's a crappy, rainy, borderline cold temperature in the Northeast. So hopefully you're someplace sunny in the sunshine and having a great weekend. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye bye.